Welcome back to the Nexus Games Europe. We were just able to see Poland living up to the expectations we all had for them, able to take a 2-0 victory versus the Czech Republic. Now we are moving on to the next group, and we are going to see Russia versus Ukraine. What can you guys tell me about these two teams?
On the one hand, we have another pretty stacked team, which is Russia. A lot of famous name. That's what I wanted to say. And on the other hand, we have a similar situation between the Ukraine and the Czech Republic, a team that doesn't really ring a bell if you take a look at the lineup. However, Eastern Europe, as a general region, has a lot of potential, a lot of talents, and I think Ukraine is definitely an opponent that you cannot underestimate like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So No Pain looking for team is actually one of the few players that I do know is a high-level Hero League player. So he's probably going to be looking to be at the forefront of that team and carrying them forward into hopefully performing well. I'm looking at Russia though. You've got names like Unstable, you've got names like ZW Hydra, you've got names like Kuni-chan even, and these are strong players with professional experience. So it's tough to back Ukraine in this matchup.
Yeah, I think they are not without weakness though. Russian teams traditionally are known to be very emotional, or at least they can get very emotional, very loud in the voice comms, and if things are not going their way, then this could really affect them mentally and take a lot of momentum away from them.
So as a reminder, guys, you can continue to vote in chat for which team you want to win in this matchup. The codes are going to be RU-win or RU-win for Russia there, and then we have UA-win for Ukraine. Hashtag before each of those, hashtag RU-win or hashtag UA-win.
Yeah, let me do that right now. I'm going to get my phone out and type in hashtag RU-win.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get ready for this first matchup in this series. Like we said, some scary, familiar names from Russia, but with two new members who they potentially haven't played before outside of Hero League. Maybe they have been in Hero League, maybe they're at different levels and haven't met each other yet. So let's see how they have been able to become a cohesive unit so far in this tournament.
Yeah, there's two players on the side of Russia that I'm personally not familiar with. That is Mr. Banana Bear and Kruglik. So, Baker, you may have some more input on those guys.
Yeah, so they are both, again, Hero League players. You can run into them all the time. They are consistently in the Grandmaster leaderboards. The one thing I will say is I think Kruglik is actually one of the more skilled players we have. He definitely has potential to make it into the HGC in the future. However, as you touched on earlier, the definite issue here is these are 5 fantastic players, but are they a fantastic team?
Yeah, we will have to find out, but first we have to find out what the maps are going to be as we head into that map veto. And let's have a look what we got here. It's going to be Russia banning Brax's holdout to begin with.
Yeah, and I think Bakery touched upon a very good point. Hold on, we're going to see which battleground is going to be picked. But very quickly here, for Team Russia, if you have too many egos, if you have too many good players who want to, use their voice and use their battle plan, sometimes you can really get things twisted, and the communication may all of a sudden be worse than before.
Indeed it will, and we are going to find out what the next map it is going to be, and the first map in this series will be Infernal Shrine.
Again!
And if the order is correct, this should be a Russia map pick. Very comfortable. This map, 3 of these players, like we said, ex-HGC players, they're going to have a lot of experience here.
Yeah, absolutely. Infernal Shrines is a staple of the competitive scene. It is very often seen as one of the maps that is the fairest to all teams, because even if you don't go to the objective, even if you're behind, there's always something that you can do on the map. And that's something I expect to see Russia fully utilize with their competitive experience.
Yeah, and I think if you compare, or if you take a look at last game on Infernal Shrines between the two teams we saw there, Poland and Czech Republic, you can really see that the quote-unquote stronger team on paper picks this map and plays it in a way that the weaker team can't really keep up with. That's a blow-up style, we saw that from Team Poland, or that could be a global style, where global heroes make all the difference, soaking more, getting more value with the mercenary camps, and it's really hard for a team that's only, gotten experience from Hero League to keep up with that professional style.
Now, absolutely. If you're a team that feel you are stronger than your opponent, this is one of the best maps to come to, because you can play that macro style, or you can play that team fight style, or you can do anything. You're very flexible when you come to this map.
Now, you have actually had the pleasure of playing against a couple of these players. What heroes on some of these players should we be really looking out for? What are some sneaky picks that we might see?
So the interesting thing about this Russia team is that a lot of these players are role swapping around a lot. So at some point, as Kunichan has been a support, at some point Unstable has been a support. Hydra, very often known for that melee assassin role, but actually known for heroes like Samuro, like Vexar. So this is a team where we actually have no idea how they're going to come together and what heroes they're going to be looking for. But we know that they're probably going to look good individually while doing it.
But we can make the exact same argument for Ukraine, though, can't we, Kendrick, due to the lack of information on them?
Exactly. That's actually what happened to Germany yesterday. Nobody knew what they were going to play except for Nuni on that Tracer. Maybe he is, you know, considered to be the brain in that team. So shutting him down didn't really work for Belgium. And this could happen to the Ukraine and Russia as well. If Russia thinks of themselves as the clear favorite, you know, they're going to play their standard game, they may all of a sudden find themselves in a situation where the Ukraine is doing something completely wonky, completely unexpected, and they will not be able to really deal with it.
Yeah, some exciting stuff as we are just quickly waiting for one of the players. So right now, what are some highlights for this map? I've gone over it before, but what are some really important things to gain control of on this map? What are some important hero styles to be picking?
So I think the Russian team is probably going to play double support for the most part, because as Bakery said, Kunichan, Unstable, they're just such seasoned and experienced players on those heroes, and double support is very safe. You really brace yourself as a team against all those sneaky heroes like a Zeratul, for example, potentially. A lot of the other crazy stuff, double support can really deal with that very well.
I agree. If I was in charge of this team, I would be focusing them in on, guys, let's commit to learning these double supports. But again, we keep talking about this. How synergized are they? How much like a team are these Russian players?
Yeah.
And the answer might be not very, because the way that I might see it going is they might just be like, let's pick our 5 best heroes and see how that works out.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you have a Rexer there because Hyper really liked them. I mean,
well, there is always the chance, but for now it is going to be Ukraine with the ban, as this was the Russian map choice.
Yeah, now let's see what they're going to come up with here. For the most part, I think teams have agreed on almost banning the same heroes at any given time. Tassadar is always high up there, Genji sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you think banning supports against a team that relies so much on double support potential like Russia is good for the Ukraine, or do you think they should prioritize something else?
It's definitely tough to say in the first matchup because we haven't seen Ukraine play, we haven't seen Russia play. We don't know what styles they're going to be favoring. If I was in Ukraine's shoes, I would probably say, let's take out a Tassadar. That's a comp that is always going to give a lot of power to strong individual players. So take that out. Let's see Russia play something a bit harder to execute.
Right,
Sonya,
though.
Also incredibly strong on this map.
And also very easy to execute.
Exactly.
A good ban.
Exactly. So covering their bases here. Now, Russia, probably a similar strategy at this point, feeling out their opponent, would you say?
I would. It's, again, Russia haven't seen Ukraine play, and Russia might not know what their best styles are. So they're probably going to be looking for something really safe.
Yeah, Tassadar ban still an option there. Supports generally, even a Rehgar ban could happen here.
Tassadar,
there we go. I mean, Tassadar is still such a formidable hero because he enables a couple of different styles. You can go for the classic hyper carry with a Vala in your ranks. You can go for the Tracer, Annoyance, early rotations as well. Strong wave clear with that Psystorm build as well. You can never underestimate that. And even in the later stages of the game, sometimes Tassadar can win you a game single-handedly with that Infinite Archon.
So,
yeah.
So while we wait for the next hero to be picked, what effect do you think this matchup is going to have on the rest of the group? Sweden and Portugal, the other 2 teams in this group.
So, to be honest, this could be the decider between the 2nd and 3rd places in this group. So Sweden, a very strong team, definitely going to give Russia a run for their money. Portugal, another team of almost unknown players that, again, them and the Ukraine are going to have a real wild card matchup. So this could be what decides who gets out and who makes it to playoffs and who has to go home.
That makes every single one of these picks to be essential, which is why these teams are taking all of the time allotted to them, working out what they want and working out ahead of time. For now, they are still sticking to a little bit of the classic and the
immediate lock-in.
Very immediate.
Instant lock-in. Yeah. There you go. And I'm sorry, guys. I keep talking about it. I know, but it's Rehgar Greymane. It's the PvE, it's the versatility, it's the strong early team fight.
Yeah, exactly. And it also leaves other hero options available, like an Abathur, for example, if they really want to go for it. Hydra, we mentioned his insane hero pool. He can always surprise people, and even double support is definitely fine with a Greymane hyper carry. Excuse me.
You were mentioning Samuro earlier, for example. He's also been known to, on the very odd occasion, play the Lost Vikings, who at a time were exceptionally popular on this map. They fell off very quickly after they gained popularity, but the opportunity is still there, especially if you wanted to go for a more mercenary-based style.
Yeah, Mercenary is so important on Infernal Shrines. We cannot stress that enough. The Fallen Shamans single-handedly tearing down structures if left unattended, and Globals, I think, in general, are going to play a significant role here as well. We haven't really touched upon that. ETC, depending on which second warrior, which second frontliner is going to get locked in, could go for that Global style, doesn't have to. We see Stukov and Malfrin, a lot of AoE zoning. We saw that in the previous series, or yeah, very nicely executed by Team Poland. Might be a good recipe for Ukraine to try as well.
Absolutely. So again, Ukraine, Stukov, he's sneaky on up there. He keeps getting higher priority and he keeps performing whenever he is picked.
Yeah.
So what this indicates to me is that Ukraine is very much looking for something comfort. They want to play a standard game and they want to take Russia head on and see what they can do.
The thing about Stukov here as well is that his level 10 choice, the Rogue ability, is quite flexible. If the Russian team fully depends on Greymane as that hyper carry, if you aim your arm very well, the massive shove, then you can really put someone back and cause that Greymane to really come into that team fight very late.
Remember, guys, to keep voting. As you can see right now, Russia eking it out ahead with a 70% vote from the Twitch chat. But if you guys want to change that, you still can. It is hashtag UAWin if you want to give Ukraine a little bit of benefit of the doubt here. But if you are confident in that Russian professional experience, it is hashtag RUWin in chat.
Yeah, definitely true. Now we see an Arthas ban, strong shrine control. That's actually a similar pattern. Like Sonya and Arthas oftentimes have similar roles on Infernal Shrines. So it really looks like the Ukrainian team doesn't want to have heroes who can just pierce through the AoE zoning, have a lot of self-sustain, a lot of tankiness, and they really want to make things a lot harder for the Russian team this way.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Arthas is one of those heroes as well that is fantastic at countering melee assassins. So could this indicate they're going to be seeing possibly a Malthael, possibly an Illidan? I think it could.
Illidan would be a nice one for sure. I mean, the Asian regions, most notably China and Korea, they still play him a lot more, I feel, than the Western regions. And an Illidan that's left unattended, that's not countered early enough, can definitely still wreak havoc. It's like a timeless pick almost.
For now, though, we are seeing the Leoric and the Tyrael coming in here. Now, the Tyrael can combo with a Illidan, with any of these melee heroes. They would be a very melee-heavy comp, though, if they were to do so, but it's still not out the question.
Tyrael is a tricky one, though. Tyrael is a tricky one. As a main tank, we've seen mixed results on an international level. Leoric, of course, helps in the front line, but he's probably going to be busy split soaking, split pushing a little bit more. So Tyrael can work if you don't fall behind early on. If Tyrael finds himself in a spot where CC was needed, like they have very little CC right now, Team Russia, that is. So if they need... Oh, that's into Tyrael, the Malthael.
We see the Malthael now. So while we're talking about Tyrael, is Sanctification is a fantastic counter to Tormented Souls. And Tormented Souls is the reason that we saw Malthael bowling teams yesterday. He was going straight over them. Now, if he tries that against this team, they all stack up in one place. They get the Sanctification, they ancestor anyone who is low, March comes out, and Tomb comes out. And the Abathur as well, giving one less body for the Malthael to actually hit. I think Russia has had a fantastic draft here, but at the same time, Ukraine got almost exactly what they wanted, it seems.
Yeah, let's not forget about Cassia as well. So far, most of the damage coming in from Russia is physical-based, with auto attacks by Greymane. Of course, he has those cocktails, but in the end, mainly melee attacks is going to be what they're going to use to. And Cassia, in those situations with the blinds as well against Leoric, whose auto attacks hit pretty hard too, she can really make all the difference. Cassia is such a niche pick, but I think in this circumstance, she's pretty good.
She's got poke damage. She can do it exceptionally well in teamfight if she is protected, and they have ETC, a great distraction, and the double support with Valor banned out. We've seen a lot of teams in Open Division, for example, relying on Cassia as that sort of substitute. But is it enough? Do you think the Abathur Tyrael is just potentially... Abathur Tyrael Greymane, for example, is a bit too much of a counter to the Malthael, at least?
I'm not sure about that Malthael into the Tyrael bakery.
It's a bold decision. It's a bold decision. It's a vote of confidence in the Ukraine. They're saying, we like our comfort. We think we can take Russia in a one-on-one.
Yeah, and of course they're going to have to use all that crowd control they've got. There's very little Russia can do because they have very little disengage. So if those combos land, if the positioning by Team Ukraine is picture-perfect spot on and Sanctification is on cooldown, there's nothing they can do, I feel.
So, what are some moves that need to be made here? Are there any particular talent choices or any particular styles? What's the laning setup potentially going to be?
I think the thing we have to note here is that as it scales later into the game, Russia, they get Sanctification, they get Holy Ground, they get a lot stronger across the board with their heroes, especially Leoric and Abathur. So I'd like to see Russia play the early game a lot slower, make sure they're not losing too much, and once they scale later into the game, try and run away with it.
Yeah, I just want Russia to play very safe. Abathur needs a little bit of time until he gets rolling, until he gets the copy that really can participate in team fights. So take it easy, maybe even ignore the first couple of shrines, get value elsewhere, cause some split push trouble for the Ukrainian team, who's not very mobile. Like Malthael doesn't really have any globals. Cassia very slow. They don't have anyone to immediately jump on a potential push with a Greymane Abathur.
What are your thoughts on their zoning potential, though, for both teams, as that is a huge part of this map in general, if you do take over the objective?
Yeah, Ukraine, Stukov, Malfurion, the roots, the silence. There's only so many ways you can get into position on those shrines. I think they have the upper hand in that regard.
Poland showed us how brutal that Stukov combo was. Just silence down and, okay, now everyone's dying. I think Ukraine, they definitely have a chance to do the same, but they're going to have to be at the same level as Poland in terms of execution to pull that off.
Yeah, and what I think Russia has, what the Czech Republic didn't, is mobility with Ethereal. He can use Eldrain's Might to go on in over a wall. Johanna didn't have those possibilities, so they definitely have more tools available to crush this zoning potential.
So, what are some other highlights here? We can, of course, get the Abathur double Greymane comp. Is that going to be enough to potentially get to that backline, especially Cassia, who gains physical armor with her trait?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question. I mean, don't forget that Abathur copies deal additional spell damage as well. So if he uses the cocktails well, Cassia may find herself in a lot of trouble. Sanctification also. Cassia's players sometimes go in very aggressively because their attack range is very short. And if the Sanctification gets popped in time, all of a sudden Cassia is going to be a frontliner and falls very rapidly.
All right, last thoughts quickly. We've seen benefits for both teams. Who are you rooting for?
I'm personally leaning towards Russia. I think they're 5 players and both teams of the comfort draft, they should have the upper hand.
I'm going on a limb here. I think it's Ukraine. They have a lot of AoE zoning. They have a team comp similar to Poland, and that worked really well. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
The faith in Ukraine coming in here from Kendrick, but I'm still going to make him introduce Team Russia because I'm that guy.
Absolutely. We've got the Russian team here on the left-hand side, and the players are none other than Hydra on the Tyrael, Unstable plays the Abathur, Kruglik on the Rhaegar, Kunishem plays the Greymane, and Mr. Banana Bear on that Leoric. Loving it.
Whereas on the right-hand side, it is going to be No Pain looking for team on the Malfurion, Fran on the ETC, Dio Dark playing the Malthael, Candle is on the Stukov, and we have Valamax playing the Cassia. And we do also have a very quick pause. We will get back into the game as soon as possible. But Team Ukraine, we said a lot of positive things about their draft, but we still have a lot of people leaning towards Russia, chat's leaning towards Russia, just out of experience, Kendrick.
And to be honest, if my money was on the line here, I would still go for Russia, but since I want to look cool on stream, I'm going Ukraine. So you got me there.
Go out and live, go out and live.
No, in all seriousness, though, I really think you hit the nail on the head there. The Ukrainian team looks very strong in the draft. The Russian team looks pretty good too. Their comp requires a little bit more expertise, a little bit more timing, a little bit more just, experience to make it work. But they do have that with that long tradition and history on some of those players.
Exactly. But Russia, like we said, they have so much experience. A lot of the players being around since the very beginning. But this is the joy of this kind of tournament. We can see the more established names getting beaten out by some of the new players coming in. For example, Italy that we saw yesterday. They came out against Finland and they were able to take the victory. And not everyone was expecting that.
Yeah, exactly. And later on, when Team Sweden is going to duke it out against Team Portugal, we're going to see some of those top-tier players. I mean, it's not just HEC that makes competitive Heroes of the Storm. There's a lot of open division talent. There's a lot of amateur players that are sinking in to get that name, to get that fame. And I think Sweden in particular, with former MOA players like Knutti and Henning, they've got so much raw potential there.
Exactly, and a couple of them actually on the same team outside of this tournament with some of the other players in this tournament. Kasi, for example, from Team Hungary, who did such a good job yesterday, is on the same team as 2 of the members of Team Sweden. So the chance of them meeting later in the tournament could be quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. You brought up a very good point. Carsey, I think, so far has won a lot of new fans, and he's definitely won my heart because not only is he a player that has exceptional mechanical skills, but he is also the head of the team, responsible
and
for
the head of the show.
Yeah, yeah. That Cho'Gall yesterday was a pleasure to behold, and I would want to see that again. Truth be told, I think teams should be more audacious sometimes, like more courageous when it comes to going for these, pocket strategies.
Yeah, it's surprising your opponents, and that was, for starters, one of the best Cho'Gall drafts I have seen. Came really out of nowhere. They left Tychus, who is you normally consider to be a counter to Cho'Gall, but he's also the hero that's considered the counter to Cho'Gall, who is picked the least anywhere else, because he's not currently that high up in the meta, just due to the lack of self-survivability if he gets hard engaged on.
You know what? 32% of our Twitch chat users out there root for the Ukraine, so that's definitely a reasonable choice, I think. It's not all about names and fame and experience sometimes, especially when new teams are being formed, and we all know how important team synergy can be in Heroes of a Storm, and sometimes, the team that doesn't have the big names but has more practice, more discipline, and of course better synergy is going to take the win. Italy, for example, yesterday, nobody knew the names really, except for Bakery, because he's really good. And
he gets them in Hero League.
Not a low master scrub like me, so...
I'm not even going to say my rank.
I can expose you now.
I can expose myself.
Give me a cookie or otherwise.
I'm happy to say it. I'm plat. I've had a horrible run the last, I don't know, 2-3 seasons. I don't know. I get master once, ever.
But the good thing is, Tetra, you know what? In a few months, we're going to have the performance-based MMR.
Yeah, so I can get exposed even more.
There's not going to be any more MMR hell you can put the blame on, right?
I refuse to put it on MMR hell. I know I make mistakes. I try to improve them. That's the joy of a game like this. And it's the fun, and it's the joy of seeing games like this in this tournament, where you will see some players who aren't at the top level, but we're being introduced to them, we're being introduced to the future, because these players, they learn from this professional environment, they improve, and then we get to see them in the future, and that's always the best part.
Words of wisdom. The next talent for HCC could be found right here, right now at the European Nexus Games, and I couldn't be more excited. Russia, Sweden, Spain, those are all teams that we're going to be able to see today. Even the Netherlands. Bakery touched upon it earlier with players like Zavalosh and Darko Micron. I'm so excited to see those guys. And what's really cool about the Nexus Games that we don't have in other tournaments or leagues is the national factor.
Yes.
People from Europe tuning in from all across the continent and cheering for their home country, for their motherlands.
Remember, guys, you can consistently continue to root for your home country and for who you think will win this one. Once again, those codes are #RUWin or #UAWin. You can do that in the break that we are about to have, as we are struggling to get one of the players back into the game, but we will be right back after this short break.
Hold on to hope. It will not abandon you. The eternal conflict continues between the forces of good and evil. Evil will triumph over those who give in to despair. But despair cannot defeat the power of hope. Hope is the voice that will never be silent. Hope is the stream that fills the wells of courage. Hope is the light in the darkness. And in the darkness, I will be that light.
In the beginning. Wait a minute, that's not... Hold on. In our most desperate hour. Whoops. No. Way too far. The Nexus. The marvelous anomaly to which the Bronze Dragonflight has sent me as their champion. Oh, hello again. Or is this the first time we've met? You might ask why, as a dragon, would I choose to be this size? Meh, it just works for me. I'm here to keep very fabric of time and space from unraveling like that. Everyone knows it's not possible to be in several places at the same time. The past you, future you, and future super creepy you? That's different times at the same place, and that's when it gets fun! Don't worry, that's gonna get nerfed. Let's review. Through all time and space, there's more power hidden in the smallest things than you will ever know.
Another round?
You know, I've been in more scrapes and adventures than I can count. That being said, I've never seen anything like this!
Hail, hero!
Is that a frog in a bubble? Oh gosh! They are so cute! Well then, there's so many friendly people here! Coming through! Love the hair!
Oh, the cavalry's here!
This place is awesome! I found some Vikings! Wow, you're big! The name's Tracer, and the Nexus could always use more heroes. Ah! Not funny!
Experience has taught the Protoss that when we do not fight together, we die alone. But we shall not see defeat this day. For we stand as one. Our differences will not divide us, but make us stronger. Together, we will defend the Nexus with honor and earn our glory. I am Hierarch Artanis, leader of all Protoss. And in unity, there is strength.
The pathetic wretches of this new realm already fear me. They should. So many souls for me to harvest. And I shall begin with theirs. This Nexus, all its power, it will be mine! Those who oppose me invite their own demise. If the two of us have learned anything fighting fools like these before, it's that when we work as one, none can stand against us. We are Shogun! We will rule the Nexus! Or destroy it!
Impressive, Archer. But you'll need to do better than that.
You have no idea what I am capable of.
Good. Because you must be ready for anything.
Will Hanzo survive? Find out next time on the advert break. But welcome back. We apologize for the delay. We have all the players back, and we are getting ready to head back into game. But once again, we're sorry for the quick delay.
Yeah, the peons were working as fast as they could to provide good internet to the players. I think it was no pain from Team Ukraine that took a little bit longer. But we're finally here, ladies and gentlemen. The game is in full swing. We're not going to introduce the teams individually. We're going to do that next time. But it's cool to see. The map is still the same. It's still Infernal Shrines. The drafts, of course, are unchanged. No remake, no nothing. It was literally just no pain. Taking a little bit longer to finally find the right cable.
And we are fully back in. So, we're starting off with the talents. Talk about some of them extra smite damage coming in for Tyrael. Not going for that Heraldric reforging that we sometimes see from the hero.
Yeah, that's level 4, but normally you get to see either...
Yeah, sorry, what's the...
Yeah, you can go for that one for the most part. Sometimes even in death if you really want to have that extra trait value. But I think Smite Evil is normally the way to go.
It does work out quite nicely. We are seeing Cassia not jumping on the Javelin train, which has been in some of the mid to lower levels of Hero League, gaining popularity after buffs, but the professional go-to has, at this point, looking always will be, charged strikes coming in at level 1. And one of the heroes who has one of the most varieties for his level 1's had a Malthael, going for that extra movement speed.
Exactly. That is a really tricky one. Sometimes Malthael really needs it as an engage if he wants to chase someone down. Or, quite the opposite, if he needs to get out of harm's way, you can really use that as well. Keep in mind, it also removes collision. So that means while it's active, you cannot block Malthael's path, which makes it such a good tool if used in synchrony with the Tormented Souls at level 10.
Exactly. One of few heroes who can actually pass through other units. Sonya, Whirlwind.
Sonya, Whirlwind?
Yes. Other than that, yeah, I think those are the only ones, other than obviously Power Slide and stuff like that, like abilities that actively pass through heroes, but those are some of the go-to ones. As we do start the first Shrine phase, and Leoric is so far being left unattended as both teams race towards level 4.
Yeah, and I really want to keep in a close eye here. A terrible mount choice, by the way, by Hydra. Going full Hydra. How dare you? You need to look good on camera. No, but I really want to keep an eye on Cassia as well. We talked about it during the draft. Cassia is a very risky hero sometimes because compared to other ranged assassins, she just doesn't have the range. And she sometimes really gets close, unnecessarily close, dangerously close. And that's definitely going to be something to be on the lookout for.
She has a little bit more sustain, though, in the form of that Ring of the Leech now. So she's going to be able to get, Ring of Leech, so she's going to be able to get a little bit more sustain in this way. And we're seeing a Black Harvest coming in for Malthael, so he's going to try and get that damage output as high as possible. Whereas Abatha committing to that Greymane symbiote with that Adrenal Overload, and God, is that a scary talent.
And this is exactly what we talked about earlier. The Russian team is basically taking no victims here. They're going for buildings right off the get-go. They're letting the Ukrainian team take a little bit of a lead here in that shrine. But look at Banana Bear here, really doing a good job fencing off two heroes at the same time. Yep. And Russia is just in full command. They took an entire fort down. That's probably more than the Punisher could even do at this stage of the game.
And Mr. Bannerbear only falling behind 5 skeletons, even in a 2 versus 1 scenario. So good job here. Hydra able to find 2 heroes as well and slow down the rotation. He will now, of course, re-rotate up to join his team, as it looks like we are finally going to see a scuffle over this objective. Both teams just over halfway.
Yeah, and it's really...
silence and fruit.
No, it catches 2, actually, and there's nothing Tyrell can do. There's nothing Kunichan could do. And as such, the front line from Team Russia was really isolated, but that's what I wanted to talk about. Both Leoric and Tyrell, they're so elusive. They're so hard to lock down. As soon as the Wraithwalk is here, as soon as the Eldrin's Might is there, good self-sustain, good protection as well with the shields and the lifesteal. Yeah. So even though that was a really good execution by Team Ukraine, it was so hard to lock anyone down.
Candlelight, though, he has the tool to deal with this, though. That silence is going to be instrumental. Objective is taken by Russia here, but... Rhaegar. He was focused down, and it is going to be Malthael who's punished instead. He was trying to chase down Rhaegar and got closed in on by the defending Russian.
No bait over the wall either, because the Ukrainian team was still, you know, in a team fight. They basically had to run away. They didn't have the time to retreat earlier, and as such, that Arcane Punisher is just wreaking havoc. A triple stun, you can't get hit like that!
Dying to the Punisher. There wasn't
no enemy Russian player involved even.
Yeah, Bannerbear just witnessed it happen. All he was there to do was tell the story. And we see yet another member of Team Ukraine drop down.
I would probably drop my mouse and keyboard for a while if I was Leoric there, if I was Kunichan and Bannerbear, excuse me, and having a giggle. I would have a giggle about that because you don't get to see the objective kill enemy heroes single-handedly.
Yeah, on a defense that does not happen too often here. Surge of Light coming in for Cassia. Like you said, she can have range issues, so making the most of that with Surge of Light. So once again, the go-to talent.
Yeah, that's definitely the go-to here. We also see a very standard build all across the board here. ETC going for the loudspeakers, greater knockback range, and of course the Pinball Wizard at level 7 for that extra burst damage. Now, what can the Ukraine do? The rejoin is here, very good. Keep in mind, by the way, we have to talk about the rule set here a little bit. If your team struggles from a disconnect, you only have a certain time pool to really get that player back in. And we saw it before, Tetra, there wasn't a lot left on the clock for Team Ukraine.
There was not indeed. Hydra, he does have a lot of time left on his clock as he is able to flee the entire enemy team's gank. Abatha, you can actually see as we were looking at Tyrell there, he has put some lovely mines in that rotation from mid to top lane, which is going to be incredibly useful later on, as we do see Russia hit level 10 first. Ultimate Evolution, March of the Black King. The Ancestral Healing go for the throat, and question mark, Hendrik.
Exactly. So that's very cool. I mean, it's probably going to be Sanctification anyways, but just in case... Oh!
He did it! He picked Judgment, he's already committed onto that Malfurion, chasing him down. Embrace Justice, as we see both of the heroes here getting taken out. Cassia and Malfurion get locked down and killed off.
And that is a really cool twist here with that Tyrell Judgment being locked in. You could really see how for this tiny window of 1.5 seconds, I believe, where the target is stunned, even if it's a Cassia, you can use that to blow her up.
Yeah, with double Greymane
as
well.
Double Greymane. You can also follow it up with a Leoric March. And if Cassia is standing still, she doesn't get her physical armor from her trait. So this time window needs to be executed very well, needs to be utilized very well. So far, the Russian team has been able to do so.
Yep, unstable. We do see Dark hovering around the area, but he's not going to move any further forward, therefore will not get unstable. But yeah, you could actually see the way that Tyrael was positioning there. He was clearly in that mind of, I could pick this right now. It was not a situational pick. He had it in his mind.
It could bite them later on, though. Just imagine a Malthael with Tormented Souls who cannot be stopped by the Sanctification. If Ukraine gets a nice 5 versus 5 engage in, if Malthael doesn't get picked up immediately, they can still turn this around. We saw what happened to the Belgium team yesterday when Germany unleashed all of its Malthael fury.
Second objective of the game, once again going over to Russia, and it would be a rough defense if Russia were pushing with it. They had Tyrael with Judgment, so defending would have been very difficult. Instead, though, they're putting pressure elsewhere on the map. Greymane is just about to finish off top 4. Rhaegar and Tyrael were actually pushing bot lane with a Mercenary camp, causing more pressure there, and now have joined the Punisher, so they're going to get a minimum 2 forts out of this and some pressure onto that bot lane.
Exactly. Looks like the Ukraine just can't really fight back for now. They're still miles behind, 3 levels Tetcher. This is looking mighty grim for the Ukrainian team. We may have an argument here whether, you know, the early game that went a little bit chaotic harmed them a little bit, but let's face it here, mechanically they haven't really convinced us either.
So ETC has gone for stage dive when the only interrupt from Mosh Pit would be that Judgment. We're in a situation where they had 2 choices of how to get themselves back into this game. They could either split soak and try and get it that way, which is what they've gone for, or they could try and just get a wombo team fight. Russia have been playing relatively split in multiple occasions, which really does just really remove value from that mosh pit style.
The thing is, though, Tetcher, I completely agree with you, by the way. That's the only 2 ways they can make it happen. Another argument maybe that speaks against a mosh pit, despite it being such a Hail Mary ability, is the fact that there's 1 less body to hit with the Abathur. So if the team splits well, which is probably what Team Russia is going to do anyways, it's going to be so hard for ETC to land it, and if there's 1 less body to hit in the first place, you may as well not go for it altogether.
So we instead go for that stage dive, which is going to allow ETC here. We will probably see him clear out mid lane and then maybe rotate to top to begin dealing with the wave that is beginning to accumulate up there. The Auric finds the friend, says hello. It looks like they're going to try and make something happen here.
The support.
The silence is nice, but yeah, with the Abathur support, Vladimir reduced healing through, but he's still taken out. That reduced healing, but Balthiel preventing that much Black King from getting any value. But guess what's happening? ETC going to try and hold this on its own, but that keeps gone.
Yeah, that keep is probably a goner. The Greymane copy was just used. It has full duration almost on it. So much damage coming in. And you know what?
Old-fashioned
full
style.
trade value for Leoric here. Distracting the entire Ukrainian team and getting permanent damage for just a couple seconds.
Punish though! Konichan, the boot kills him off in the end. Tyrael tried a desperate last save. Silence is dropped. The Tormented Souls. But guess what? Tyrael teleported away.
Not this time. So much disengage, or so much escape, I should say, on the side of Team Russia. The Eldruns might, the Wraithwalk, they're just going to peace out and say, you know what, Malthael, good luck landing that next Tormented Souls in about 90 seconds from now.
Yeah, he's... That's such a big cooldown to burn. Against Tyrael and Leoric? What did he think? They just left. That's what they do.
The only way Malthael can counterplay that is if he saves his W. So he has that teleporting ability to really follow a Leoric that gets away or follow a Tyrael that is getting too cheeky there. If he doesn't have it ready, there's no way he's going to catch up despite the level 1 ability granted. Down.
Yeah. So Malthael, he is just over halfway through his Black Harvest. That's going to help. Oh, hang on. Here is the ball lightning. March to the Black King, though. Leoric tanking through this time. Ancestral Dance as ETC causing some harassment in the backline. We're seeing Cassia focus down, though. Tyrael from the side. The good Flaming Swan to try and disengage, but the double dogs. Judgment for good measure. Focusing the Malthael. Healing by Mal. Trying desperately everything to keep Geodog alive. But there's just too much relentless onslaughts. Everyone else is trapped. No pain goes down. ETC has 45 seconds before stage dives. Oh, he might be able to escape though. Couple plane sprays. Yeah, they let him go. As Ran will be the only survivor. And that will be the second keep going down. Double Rhaegar even being used for this. Supposed to double Greymane.
Yeah, Rhaegar hits really hard as well.
Yes,
His attack damage and, of course, the overall damage has been buffed in the past, so it's definitely an acceptable copy target, the Rhaegar that is. Don't underestimate the power of double lightning shield, double healing in a team fight, especially when there's 3 levels difference between the team. So catapults are hammering on the core, 2 side lanes are being destroyed against Team Ukraine, and things are going from bad to worse.
We really saw the lack of that Malthael heroic really coming to play. Even with Soul Siphon, combining those two together, Malthael is immensely sustainable with his level 13 and level 10. But not having the level 10 means he wasn't getting as many heals from Soul Siphon, so he did just get killed off.
Malfurion didn't even go Ice Block, despite the fact that there could be a double Greymane, that there's so much lockdown with the Judgment even. Like, he doesn't care, because in this situation, I think his thought process is, we need to limit the damage they can inflict on us. Whether that's the right thought process is highly questionable. Ice Block is so crucial.
I like the move there by Candle, though. Dropping the silence onto the objective the second he saw any potential threat, so that if Leoric was to come out of his Wraithwalk on there, he would immediately be silenced.
Yeah, and I really hope Team Russia spotted the lack of Ice Block here, because Malfurion is one of the easiest targets to blow up if they don't have it available. Exactly. Cassian are holding the front line, getting stunned
from every angle. Here comes the Tormented Souls. Last chance defense here coming in from Ukraine, but it's not enough. Health bars are too low. Core gets taken out by the Punisher, and that is gonna be GG. And Russia takes game number 1. Very well played. One of those teams that a lot of people have been expecting to be at the top of the table. And guys, do you think they're living up to the expectation here?
Yeah, that was hard to say. I think the Ukrainian team just seemed lost at some point. It reminded me of the previous game on Infernal Shrines. We can't really put too much blame on them, because I think from start to finish they probably had to face a couple of issues, voice communication, internet connections, etc., that can really break your rhythm, take all your momentum away. But how did you like that Russian team, Bakery?
I like that Russian team a lot, especially because they were doing what I've been talking about the whole time while we're here. They used that Veigar and that Greymane to fantastic effect, backdooring Keep even at one point, and then backdooring the core for the win.
Yeah, they came from the bottom lane when everyone else was busy with the Punisher
with the Leoric
in the top lane. It was really good. So yeah, really enjoyed that. That was fantastic. But Bakery, what have you got to show us from that game?
So the first replay I have for you is the first fight on the top shrine. So it's actually looking really good for Ukraine. They're not level 7 though. ETC takes a lot of damage. Now, look at Maltho. He commits super hard, but the last second, the Abathur hat comes out, saves Kruglik's life, and at this point, Maltho is terribly out of position. And I'm afraid the Punisher has actually gone over to Russia as well, so this is going to be obviously an easy war, and since they already had a level lead, that was the fight that Ukraine needed to get back in the game. From there, very much in Russia's favor. Now, the second replay I have for you guys is not as much a critical moment of the match, but a very cool thing that Russia was able to do, and that is backdooring the Keep. So as we see here, they instantly copy. Veigar starts walking away from the ETC. He has a nice bite there on the wall. Kunichan does commit, probably a bit long. The clone can probably finish this on its own. It's only ETC defending. Greymane does end up going down after that, but that is a cool play that can be done a lot more, and Russia showing a good, solid understanding of how to play the macro game on Infernal Shrine.
It's a very old-fashioned combo, going for double Greymane to backdoor something that we are going to way back last year for when that was popular, bringing it back in a really solid situation. So very nice there.
Yeah, very nice indeed. Although there were so many weird things going on in this game, weren't there, guys? Like, we saw no Ice Block on Malfurion against the Judgment Material. The Judgment Material himself was very weird against the Malthael, who relies so much on this AoE damage. Not really sure how much we can take from this game in terms of evaluating the real strength of Russia nor the Ukraine.
See, I do kind of agree with you. I will say I do think the Judgment was an adaptation of we are so far ahead. How do we get further ahead? Well, Judgment, because they've got no clans. But I mean, I've got to agree. The lack of Ice Block on Malfurion was definitely painful for the Ukraine, and it was a confusing choice.
Yeah, very confusing indeed. And it's really hard to, as we said, draw a lot of information out of this game when there were so many mistakes or so many weird situations made by the Ukrainian team. What I didn't like at all was the Cassia. I think she remained fairly uneventful. There was a lot of shutdown potential as well with that Judgment. rooting her in place 1.5 seconds, causing her armor not to land or not to even get procced. So the Ukrainian team, I think, not just from a mechanical point of view, also from a drafting point of view, they may have to think of something else.
All right, and guys, the next